My name is Betsy Coulter. I am with the Collin SBDC, and welcome to Building Your Ideal Customer Profile. We are thrilled to have Dean Ash with us for this session. This will be an interactive session and it will be recorded. We encourage you to ask questions. Just please use the chat and I will make sure that those questions get to Dean. We can stop, interrupt him at some point if you want a little bit further discussion on something he just talked about. So please feel free to use that chat. And then the recording will be uploaded on our YouTube channel, usually within about 24 hours. So I know there's a lot of information coming at you. Hopefully you've all got a copy of the presentation, but feel free to go back and you can watch it just as many times as you like. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our speaker. Dean Ash is co-founder of 360 Consulting JV. Dean is passionate about growing top-line revenue. He excels in enabling clients to grow sales revenue, to improve their profitability, and implement comprehensive sales strategies. As a leader, communicator, and collaborator, Dean is a proven executive skilled in building and leading organizations to achieve superior sales results. Dean spent more than 20 years prior to 360 Consulting building, rebuilding, and leading sales organizations in the high-tech industry. And now as an entrepreneur, he has invested his time and capital in startups and stage companies focused on growth. Dean is a trusted advisor in Vistage, which is a peer-to-peer CEO group, an active member of the Business Navigators, and a certified integrity selling and coaching facilitator. So Dean, we will let you get started.
All right, Betsy, thank you so much for that introduction. And we love the partnership with the Collin SBDC. So thank you for that partnership. We enjoy working with you and your members. Today we're going to talk about creating your ideal customer profile. And as I was thinking about this topic for today, I was reminded of a conversation I had with a business owner and CEO of a manufacturing company. This individual happened to be up in South Dakota. Just the general conversation was around how's your sales going, right? And which is the topic that I'm passionate about. I love, our firm serves. And he said, it's going pretty well. He said, but our closing rate is just not as high as we would like it to be. And I'm like, oh, really? I said, well, tell me a little bit more about that. I said, yeah. I said, we just seem like we just have a bunch of proposals going out the door. Our activity is really high. We're having a lot of customer meetings, but nothing, really nothing we're missing our numbers. We're not closing as many deals as we want, et cetera. And I said, well, tell me a little bit about who you're selling to. And he said, you know what? He said, we serve this particular industry, and man, we're just excited about talking to any company that wants to talk to us about our products and services. I mean, we're just excited about talking to anybody that shows some interest. And I said, so how's that going for you, right? And he's like, well, like I said, it seems like we're sending out a lot of proposals, but we're not getting any feedback and closes. And I said, oh, so it sounds like you've got a lot of deals in your line that have gone dark. You've turned into a proposal generating factory, and but now you're in chase mode. Hey, just checking in when that after you sent the proposal, et cetera. And he goes, yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. My team is spending a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort chasing proposals that have gone dark. And I said, well, you know what? We need to talk about two things: defining your ideal customer and your sales process. And so today we're going to talk about the first of those two, which is defining your ideal customer profile that will set you up for success going forward and target your sales efforts and target your marketing efforts in exactly the right way to achieve maximum results from your sales engine. So, the agenda we're going to follow for the next hour is, first of all, defining what is it? What is your ideal customer profile? And what if I don't have one? What's the impact to my company? Just like the company I was talking to, the manufacturer I was talking about up in South Dakota, we'll talk a little bit specific about what not having an ideal customer profile defined is, how it's impacting your organization and your business. Why do I even want one? What does it even mean, right? How do I even define an ideal customer profile? How do I get one? And then what do I do with it once I have defined my ideal customer profile? And one thing, this is our guiding principle, and one thing I want to debunk, and this was the trap that my friend up in South Dakota fell into, is a customer is a customer is a customer. Any sell, any revenue, any product sell is a good sell. And I think if we think through, the customers that we've sold to, not every customer, not every sell has been a good sell, has been a profitable sell, has been an enjoyable sell. And what we're trying to share today is we're just debunking that. All revenue is not good revenue. And the more tightly we can define who we're targeting as a customer, who we choose to do business with, the better, one, our relationships will be, the better value that we will deliver to our customers, because we're serving the customers that absolutely we've defined will derive the most value from the products and services that we deliver. And so, what is an ideal customer profile? An ideal customer profile is not your buyer persona. It's not your end user or a title of somebody in a company. Those are important, but those follow the customer that we're going to define, which is a hypothetical description of the type of company that would reap the most benefits from your products and solutions. So these are the customers that we know we will create the most value for when they engage with us, and that we are best suited as a company, as a business, to serve. They're probably are the least friction associated with the relationship and with the buy-sell process that we might have. These typically result in, if we're focused on that, these are the most they have the most successful sales cycles. We have the greatest retention rates of these type of customers, these ideal customers, and oftentimes these ideal customers become our brand ambassadors, the ones that actually are promoting us to their colleagues in the industry, and they're referring us to them. Those are kind of a descriptor, if you will, high level of the ideal customer that we want to identify. Trying to sell products and services without understanding your ideal customer is like driving a car with your eyes closed. And another way I like to also say this is, it's like, if you don't have a direction or a destination in mind, any road will get you there. But in the case of sales, you will never get there, or if you get there, it'll be very rarely, because again, you're driving with your eyes closed. So why have an ideal customer profile? I mean, what's the value? First of all, the value is it's going to save time for your sales team, time for your organization, time for, think of the clients that you've sold to that were not your ideal client, how much organizational friction and organizational resources you expend, because we probably should have never signed that deal up or sold to that particular client. You're going to also, save money because of the wasted time, wasted resources that we oftentimes expend going after clients that really we have no business selling to. They're not ideal for us, et cetera. The other thing is, believe it or not, by tightening our focus into only selling to our ideal customer, we actually increase our sales because of the focus and because of how we're positioning our value proposition, because it resonates and we have great case studies with those ideal customers. We actually increase our sales versus casting a wide net and getting very diffused or very scattered in our approach to sales. Matter of fact, we know through multiple studies that poorly managed leads and lost productivity cost the businesses across the U.S. and the world, trillions of dollars a year, and that 50% of a sales rep's time are spent on unproductive prospecting. Think about if we could reclaim that 50% of unproductive prospecting time and focused most of that effort, 100% of your effort, into serving and prospecting your ideal customer, how much more effective your sales organization, your sales engine, your sales resources will be, going forward. So I mentioned that the ideal customer profile for B2B or business to business type of companies is a hypothetical view of the makeup of a particular company that we're targeting. But we still, once we know that, we still want to identify and define the buyers and buyer personas and titles that we're going after in a particular customer or business, and really understand as much as we can about that particular buyer, whether it's the CEO, the CFO, maybe someone that owns production, whatever the company or business is, who those typical one or two or three buyers are that might be a technical buyer, one might be a financial buyer, and what needs and challenges that they have that we can uncover in the sales process, and what pieces of our value proposition resonate the most with them. So ultimately, we want to define the companies and then the actual buyers within those companies that have the pain points that we want to serve with our value proposition. So it's kind of a two-step process. So first and foremost, we step back and go, what type of companies do they work for? Those particular buyers, what kind of companies do they work for? And there's three types of customers that we like to define, and we look at through three different lenses. One is our ideal customer, the customer, the business that our products and services were made for. I mean, this is our sweet spot. We'll talk a little bit about a dartboard here in a minute, but that's the bullseye of the dartboard of customers that we are actually, going after and servicing. The second is we call it a secondary customer. So they're not ideal, but they may still provide value. But our products and services may still provide some value. It's probably not the area that we're going to ask our sales organization to primarily focus on in their prospecting efforts. But if they come our way, we need to define, we may have a piece of our solution that meets their needs and provides value to them, but they're just not our ideal customer. So on a dartboard, think of those as, the top one is the bullseye. The secondary customer might be in that first inner ring. Again, ones that we're not going to spend a lot of prospecting effort around, but ones that we would serve if they come our way. And then the third customer type is the non-ideal customers, customers that I absolutely do not want to deal with. These are the hard no. Sorry, we're just not going to work with these type of customers. And in defining who is absolutely off the table really helps our sales engine, and it really helps our sales team know where to spend time and where to just when they see these kind of characteristics of a non-ideal customer, they just they can politely exit the conversation and go, you know what, I just know from past experience we're not going to be a fit, and good luck with with solving the issues. And you can have that in a very professional, non-abrasive kind of conversation. But the important thing is identifying it and having the conversation to not move forward. This is oftentimes where that 50% of time that sales reps spend unproductively, it's typically in these non-ideal customers. So the process, so going through and building your ideal customer profile, the best thing you can do is kind of start with who are your top 5 core customers. And you can define that in volume, you can define that in retention rate, total lifetime value of those clients. But take your top 5 customers and look at each one of them and try to define some ideal characteristics of each one of those customers. Why are they one of our top 5 customers? What about them really resonates with us? Whether it's and there'll be some themes that start coming out of those particular customers that we identify, that really start guiding us and giving us some indications of definitions that we can start utilizing going forward with additional prospecting efforts. The next step is think of 3 companies you'd love to turn into customers that are not currently a customer now, and what are their characteristics? Based on either past runs at them through proposals or interactions or whatnot. What about them are characteristics that we know that we can start looking at or tying a thread to our top 5 core customers through the customers that we're wanting to acquire, and start doing some correlation around those characteristics. And then look for themes, look for common threads that define or move through those core customers, as well as customers or companies that we're trying to acquire. And then finally, kind of draft a statement of 1 to 2 sentences that kind of describe in a sentence format the ideal customer that we're going after. So a couple of kind of characteristics that we're oftentimes talking about or looking for. They may be in some specific industries or verticals that we need to make sure we're defining. Some kind of size characteristics are oftentimes a part of the definition of your ideal customer profile, whether it be revenue, it could be minimum or maximum amount of annual revenue, or sometimes number of employees ends up being sometimes a good guide. These are oftentimes things that we can find out without even talking to the client, and can guide us from a targeting, prospecting, outbound lead generation type of efforts through their website, through their annual reports, etc. There may be a geographic characteristic that's important to us. Maybe we only do business in Texas, for instance, or we only do business in the U.S. because of some regulatory constraints or things along those lines. maybe we do business globally, but are there some areas that, yes, we do business globally, but you know what, we really we're really not set up in whatever part of the world. So we might exclude that, even though we oftentimes are global business. So geography might be another thing that we consider. There's some other things around. Potentially there's some technology that we may look for in our ideal customer, technology that we know if we line up, we line up best with if our technology stacks are aligned, or maybe there's some technology that those particular customers, our ideal customer, uses, that is an opportunity for us to accelerate the value proposition because of a technology change. So that might be part of one of the themes that you're looking at in your ideal customer profile. Size of their customer base, potentially. So thinking through your customer's customer might also be a good way, or some characteristics you would take a look at. Business goals, common pain points, common use cases that we solve for might be in that client profile, and how they make decisions. Maybe there are you have a very, very low odds of winning RFPs, if for instance, right? So maybe if a particular client or customer segment only does business from an in an RFP kind of mode, we may decide that's off limits for us. We're not going to go after that. Or maybe when we do, or if we do, there's some specific criterias or guidelines that we use if we're going to go do business in that kind of way. So there's probably several others that should be on this chart that might be unique and specific to your business. But these are some ideas of relevant characteristics we might put into play as we're defining our target accounts. So here's a few examples, and none of these are, these are all just examples, right? So maybe a one or two sentence descriptor of my ideal customer profile might be a business-to-business SaaS company, software as a service company in the US or Canada. So again, geography, right? SaaS company is kind of like a segment, if you will, that has a customer service team of at least 10 people. So, and then they have an annual rate of return or annual revenue of at least 20 million in sales, right? The customer base, so again, their customers made up of small and medium-sized businesses, because we know our solution really is targeted toward companies that serve that particular market. And then they require a significant hands-on training and support. In other words, they value service after the sale and a relationship with us after the sale in the terms of training and support. So that might be an ICP example that we might use. Another is, a client, a B2B, scalable business. So it's not a lifestyle business. It's a company that is a growing business located. This is a very tight region of kind of Richmond and Raleigh, right? So kind of that rough area, with annual revenue between $2 and $50 million. So again, defines, geography, it defines type of business, and in this case, a minimum and a maximum, revenue size that we're targeting. So here's an example also of maybe not your ideal customer. So who's not a good fit? And so as you're thinking about that, think about those traits of companies that we absolutely want to make sure we exclude. In that previous example, it might be companies that are, it's a hard no if they're not in the United States and Canada, or if they're not in Raleigh or Richmond. maybe there's some characteristics that is around them being very resource intensive. Maybe they don't have the right support staff on their side that's going to require us to supplement their implementation because they're under resourced or under skilled or something along those lines. That might be another characteristic or another thread that you might bake in to that makes that particular customer not a good fit. When maybe business objectives are misaligned, or maybe there's a big culture difference between your culture, and your values and the kind of values that that particular customer that's not ideal might have. Or maybe they're just difficult to work with. And putting some parameters around what difficult to work with actually means, so your sales engine and your sales reps can screen those out very, very early based on whatever you define as difficult to work with. Maybe they only do business through RFPs. Maybe anytime they make a purchase, they got to send it out. They got to get 3 bids. And I'm not saying any of those would exclude some of your ideal customers or not. Just giving some examples of things you might consider when you look at through the lens of difficult to work with. And so, why have a non-ideal customer? And again, now I'm speaking to that 50% of a typical sales rep's time spent in non-productive prospecting. It increases their productivity. It improves their lead quality. We are able to better message our value proposition, better target our case studies, and it also helps our marketing engine be a lot more focused to the outcomes that we can deliver to our clients. And we have successfully demonstrated that, and we can stay really, really tight and really, really focused on the things, because really, if the bigger net that we cast, the more watered down our messaging has to be, and the less focused our value proposition gets. So we are trying to greatly improve our messaging, what the outcomes our solutions drive, which also creates better differentiation when we look at other examples or other alternatives that our customer might be considering as they are looking at solving their particular pain points. So a couple of examples here just to add to the ones that we put in before. And these are the 3 cases. So the best fit, a good fit, and a bad fit. Best fit might be a US-based company with over 500 employees who manufacture and sell software security. A good fit might be someone that's in North America. All right, so outside of it includes companies outside of the US as well, but still in North America. They might be a little bit smaller, so we're okay. A good fit, we could still have a value proposition potentially for companies that are 200 to 500 employees in this particular case. And instead of companies that manufacture and sell software security, they're distributors. Or they buy from distributors. That might still be a good fit. Probably not ones, again, that we will crank up our sales and marketing engine toward and do targeted outbound prospecting to. But if through the course of our selling and prospecting we run across one of those, we can still accommodate those as well. But if I'm doing pipeline reviews and I'm doing call reviews on a consistent basis with my sales team on our Monday morning one-on-ones or Monday morning sales meetings, I'm looking for, am I spending the vast preponderance of my time in my best fit categories versus the good fit? So maybe 80% on the best fit, 20% on the good fit, something along those lines. And of course, we don't want them spending any time on the bad fits. So, in this particular case, they're non-North American based companies. They have less than 100 employees, so they're way too small. And they really don't have anything to do with, software security, right? So they don't manufacture or distribute software, security type of capabilities. So those are examples of, of the bullseye, maybe the first ring, and the bad fit are not even on the chart, right? They're hitting the wall on the dartboard analogy. So then by having this pretty well defined, we can then start thinking through and defining the buyer personas in each one of those ideal customers, right? So, the buyer persona, in this example might be, operations Owen, right? And so kind of thinking through, okay, he's an operations person. His key challenges, what are those? What are the key challenges, the key issues, the key needs, the key problems that he is facing, and through the lens of things that I might be able to actually help them with, right? And the better I define, those particular challenges, the better I can target my discovery questions as I'm working with that particular, or prospecting that particular client in my sales process. I can target my marketing efforts to these particular needs or push points or challenges that operations Owen might have. He's concerned about the impact on his business of downtime, maintenance that's required on his machinery, on-site installations, number of workers, things along those lines. That's what he's interested in. So as we're, again, prospecting and we're doing our discovery, we're looking for and listening to and tailoring our smart questions to uncover those type of challenges, again, in our ideal customer profile that is defined up at the top. And then we may have another person, building owner Betty, who has other challenges. There might be, they need some education on solar panel benefits, cost savings. So thinking through, how do they save money? How do they generate an ROI for some type of expenditure? What are the ordinances, legalities, et cetera, that they have to navigate through in their particular world? And so the better we understand the problems, challenges that building owner Betty has, the better we can target our discovery questions, do smart questions oriented to them, and then better position our value proposition and outcomes, and how our product, how our service, how our solution meets the needs that building owner Betty has. So, what do we do with all this, right? So we have an ideal customer profile. We have our buyer personas. What do we do with it now? And I would submit to you that now you have the blueprint. Now you have your guiding principles that will govern your lead generation, your prospecting, your messaging, your discovery questions, your how you're going to decide where I'm going to spend my time and where I'm not going to spend my time. And this is not only for the sales organization and your marketing organization. We would propose that everybody internally is aligned around that too. That means operations knows that. That means your finance team knows this. Everybody is aligned on who we're targeting from an ideal customer and why, because that creates great accountability for every organization in your company to know we are putting all of our wood behind a certain number of arrows that we're targeting from a new business development prospecting point of view. And so that's the reason why, or what we do with the outcome of this particular exercise. It will also help shape your sales process as well. And we're not going to talk a lot about sales process in this particular session, but it will guide how you put together, organize, and define the sales process, or the buyer's journey that you will take a prospect through to make an excellent buying process, and help our customers or potential customers make a very, very efficient buying decision. And so, everything that we're talking about, everything we're focused on, is trying to maximize the number of darts, the number of arrows that are hitting that center spot, that sweet spot, that spot that's right in the middle of the dartboard, and it gives us clarity on where that center actually is. So we're putting our maximum effort into focusing in on those particular customers, and we know, just because we work with clients, all over the country, especially the ones in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which is where we're based. We know that if we have that kind of clarity, that's your North Star, and everything else, from a sales process, from a messaging, from a value proposition, everything else you do downstream is aligned, because you're targeting and focused on that North Star, those guiding principles that are built around your ideal customer profile, and then manifested through the buyers that you're focused and target on. So with that, I'll bring this particular session from a presentation point of view to a close. Would love to address any questions that you might have had along the way. Would love to interact with how some of these things are have been working in your organization, whether if there's some barriers or whatnot, or things that you're thinking through of what do I do next. Would love to talk about that. So Betsy, I'll kind of turn it back over to you, and see if we have any questions.
Yeah, well, your last sentence kind of led us into the first one. A couple of folks, we learned a lot about the ideal customer profile that you just shared with us, but how do we start? How do we even begin to build our own?
Yeah.
What would you recommend?
Yeah. So the place to start is really taking a hard look at who your existing customers are, right? Your top, 5+ customers, and the characteristics that they have, the themes that those have, it's sometimes and I know a lot of you as business owners and CEOs, who your top customers are, right? And we look at it through the lens of the revenue they generate, the percent of our total revenue, or is the revenue up or down? So we do all that, but oftentimes we don't ask the critical question of why did they do business with us, right? And that's a completely different question, and it's one that's very instructive as you kind of take a look at that. But that's where I would start. Is literally pull your client list out and look at the top revenue producers, or your top clients. Maybe it's not by revenue, maybe it's by some other criteria, and really ask the question around why do they do business with us? How do they value us? And I'll tell you the other thing on that too is, and we love to do as a firm, is go ask those top customers, right? Hopefully, be a relationship with them that we're seeing them pretty regularly, daily, weekly, monthly, for sure quarterly, and ask them specifically why they do business with us and what do they value. Oftentimes they will love to share that with you, and it's a good opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with your customer.
Perfect. Well, and yeah, and another question just popped up to kind of further that, is it advisable to have several customer profiles to match your product or service? Do you need to differentiate?
It's a really great question. And the answer is sometimes yes, because if you have a diverse product portfolio that serves different market segments, you might have a business profile set up to where, or your business model may be set up to where I need to have an ideal customer profile and buyer personas by market segment. And because there's a uniqueness oftentimes around maybe the product in my portfolio or set of services in my portfolio that fits that market segment. And I need to treat them potentially different than I might in somebody in another market segment. We still like, though, to connect everything to an overarching set of criterias for the entire company, so your efforts don't get bifurcated around different lines. But so we still like an overarching ideal customer profile, and then maybe refinement around each market segment. But we've done that before, where you may have 4 different market segments, and so you define the buyer personas or the ideal customer profile in each of those market segments. It's a great question.
Well, that was the next question too. Yeah, can you have too many? But it sounds like you can. You do need to be careful.
You absolutely can, right? Because then you start looking at, from a branding point of view, you may have your brand and your actual value proposition or the outcomes that you deliver starts getting diluted if you have, again, too diverse or too broad of a spectrum of buyers that or ideal customers that you're going after. So every situation is unique, right? I mean, me and a few of my colleagues with the firm here on the phone here have seen a lot of different scenarios, and we like to have as few ICPs as possible, ideally 1, but sometimes your business doesn't line up that way.
Well, and this is actually just a comment. She doesn't have a question, but it's an excellent comment that as a B2C business, that how pleased she is to hear that she doesn't have to do business with everyone, that you do have a choice, because there are those that will just suck all the energy out of you and your business.
They really do. And you know what? Everyone's heard the mantra, the customer's always right? Everyone's heard that, right? Well, the customer is not always right? I mean, the customer is the customer, right? So we have to respect that and respect their wishes. But guess what? We don't have to be a supplier to everybody that might show interest in our products and services. We don't want to. Obviously, we treat everyone with respect. We're very respectful about how we share that. But having that, it's very empowering to say, you know what, this is zapping the energy out of us and taking the wind out of our sail, and it's just like this is just not a good fit for us, and that's okay. The other thing I will say on that is even looking at your current clients through this ideal customer profile lens, you might find some clients that you're kind of going, wow, they're a current client, they're spending money with me, but they're not an ideal client. They are sucking the life out of me. And so what do you do with that, right? We would recommend you go after and prospect more and more of your ideal client profile. And then the ones that are currently doing business with you, that are not your ideal client, you can start pivoting that relationship because maybe you're not as dependent on it. And that might be through the lens of, higher prices, or, some different types of terms, or something along those lines. But you have built your portfolio with clients that are ideal, so that you have now the latitude, the fortitude, the confidence to maybe quietly or respectfully fire those non-ideal ideal clients. And it's a process, right? It's a process, but very empowering. So
Oh gosh.
ultimately, you're servicing all of your ideal clients better because of that.
Yeah, excellent point. I don't have any more questions. It doesn't appear comments at this point, but Dean, you've got 2 more seminars coming up, both on sales. Would you give us just a little preview of both of those coming up later in February?
Absolutely. So one of them is titled "Accelerating Sales Through Metrics," or using metrics. We are big on process, sales process, buyer's journey. We're of the ilk that is, you have solid processes for your manufacturing process, solid processes for how you do accounting, every other piece of your business. You should also have solid processes for your sales and prospecting, and you should metric those as well. And so what we'll be talking about in this next session is what are those leading indicator, key performance indicators or metrics that we need to be looking at, so that I can course correct or make good decisions in the first, second, or third inning of the baseball game versus the 8th or 9th inning, when all of a sudden the deal goes dark and I don't know why, right? What are those metrics that I need to be looking at all along the way to manage my sales and marketing functions? So accelerating sales through metrics is our next topic. And then I think our third topic, Betsy, is all around just the state of sales in the current small business community. And we're going to look at kind of 16 points or 16 criterias that govern, or that you should be looking at, to have a vibrant, productive, efficient, successful, sales engine. And we're gonna share some benchmark data across a lot of different companies across North America on how they line up against those 16 criterias, how they've been benchmarked, and we can also we'll offer up that benchmarking tool to everyone that's part of the seminar, to get a free benchmark if you would like to do that. And it's one of those, you self-assess and you get your results, right? You don't have to even talk to us, right? But it is something that's instructive anyway for many companies. So.
Oh, wonderful. Well, those are both coming up on February 16th. So one from 12 to 1 and one later that afternoon from 4 to 5. So please pop back. Dean, do you have that last slide? There we go. Thank you. You guys all know where to find those and register. And then again, a reminder about the CARES application. We would love to be able to pay for professionals and experts such as Mr. Ash to give you and your business some personal help. And you do that by applying through that CARES application. Also, please know that you will be receiving an evaluation from today, and we would greatly appreciate it if you would take a moment. It's very, very simple. But to complete that helps us a lot so that we can continue to bring programs like this to you all. And if you have any questions, just give us a shout. But we are so grateful you all joined us today. And thank you again to Dean. I think we all have a lot to take away, but feel free to reach out if y'all have any questions. But thank you, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, Betsy. Thanks, everyone.